Hello everybody and welcome back to the Crooked Hour. Today I just thought we'd kick back and have a look at future UFC cards, fight nights, pay-per-views and just seeing some matchups on them that I'm excited for, because there's some matchups I might have missed, there's some matchups that came out that I might have forgot about, and I just thought it would be good to sit down and go through like, well, this fight's happening, holy shit, I didn't know this fight was happening. So we're going to start with MAKHACHEV versus VOLKANOVSKI, because this Lewis versus Spivak card is nothing special. Like, let's be completely honest. So as we all know, the main event, but let's see if there's any like low-key firefights. Like, we know Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. You know, I kind of actually forgot about this fight until I checked it a few days ago. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, it's on the Australia card. I was under this illusion that there was only Australian fighters fighting, but then I was like, oh yeah, that's right, this fight is on the card. Good fight. I will do quick picks too. I think I'm actually thinking of taking Josh Emmett on this one. I just feel like he might land the better shots, but you never know. Randy Brown versus Jack Della Maddalena is a great fight. I don't know who to pick in that one. I'm kind of hedging towards the underdog, Randy Brown, although Jack Della Maddalena is really good. Jimmy Crute's coming back. If you know Jimmy Crute, he's coming back against Alonzo Metafield. I'm going to be breaking down these fights more next week. Down the card, you know, nothing crazy. So, got Tyson Pedro coming back, stuff like that. So, after that, we've got Vera versus Sandhagen. Now, I've never really looked at this card yet. Like, I don't know what is on this card. Main event, as we all know, is fire. It is a fire fight. I've got Marlon Vera just because it's a 5-round fight. If it was a 3-round fight, I think Corey would take it. But then we've got like fights like Erin Blanchfield versus Talia Santos, which is a great fight. I've got Erin Blanchfield in that one. Going down, Jim Miller's coming back. William Knight. I love watching William Knight fight just because it's funny. It's funny because he's just got so much muscle mass that he's like marching around like the final boss. Like, he's like big guy. AJ Fletcher, you know, decent card. We have some decent names here, but it's nothing crazy. Like, it's a decent card. After that, it's Krylov versus Span, February the 25th. By the main event, this isn't going to be a very stacked card, but I could be completely wrong. Oh, Andrew Philly's coming back against Lucas Almeida. Brendan Allen coming back against Andrew Muniz. That's a good fight. And then the rest of the cards just kind of meh. I mean, Jordan Levitt's coming back. Odie Osborne. It's a decent card. Nothing crazy though. It's nothing that's going to be making you jump out of your seat. But after that, you know, we just got to get through that fight night, which isn't a terrible main event either. Krylov vs. Span isn't a terrible main event. But then we got this fight. This is when stuff starts to get good. You know what I'm saying? This is when stuff starts to get good. John Jones versus Cyril Gane. Great fight. I'm not even going to do a prediction on that yet, but this card is stacked. Like, this card is stacked. I'm just hoping nobody drops out, because, you know, this is a card where it's like, if we lose one of these fights, if we lose like one of these, like from 13 to 8, or maybe 13 to 9, it's like card loses so much more steam. It's like these fights in a row is what's going to make it good, not the fight on its own. It's like these fights in a row, one after another, let's see what happens, is what makes the card good. Dricus du Plessis versus Derek Brunson, great fight, was meant to happen a while ago but got pushed back, I think. I could be completely mistaken, or was Derek Brunson meant to fight somebody else? I think he's meant to fight Jack Hermanson. I don't know. Yeah. Bo Nickel versus Jamie Pickett. Alright fight. I just think they're just feeding Bo Nickel a guy he can win against. Although Jamie Pickett isn't bad, but for a wrestler like Bo Nickel, it's going to make Jamie Pickett look bad. Jeff Neal versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Shavkat's going to get it done. I really think he's the real deal. But Jeff Neal's going to test him. It's like the Gilbert Burns, Hamzat Chimaev situation. Like, Jeff Neal will be the guy to test. Like, Jeff Neal is Shavkat's Burns, basically. But Burns is better than Jeff Neal, in my opinion. Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner. Murder scene for Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner's going to murder Dan Hooker. I'm sorry, but he is going to murder Dan Hooker. I like Dan Hooker, but my man Jalen's going to run through him. I'm sorry. Like, what Jalen did to Brad Riddell, what Jalen's been doing in his last couple of fights, I mean, he's looking like he's found that next level in his game. And I feel like Dan Hooker's kind of dropped off, but he's kind of like, he hasn't dropped off and kept dropping. It's like he has dropped off, but now he's like on a straight path. Like, he beat that one guy that looks like Kelvin Gastelum. I can't think of his name. Kelvin Gastelum clone. And then he beat that last guy he fought, what's his name? Claudio Pulzes. And yeah, they're the only type of people he can beat, in my opinion. He can't beat a good striker with good takedown defense as well. I feel like that's where he runs into problems. And Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko, which is a slept-on fight. I really like Alexa Grasso, so I honestly think we might be in for an upset or a close fight there. I do have Valentina, but Alexa Grasso's boxing is crisp. It is crisp. Next up, Peter Yan versus Dvalishvili. I have not checked out this card at all. Decent main event. I'm hoping Peter Yan can beat Merab, just because not a fan of Merab's style. I like Merab as a guy, but not a fan of his style. What are we saying on this card? What are we saying? Said Nurmagomedov, Mario Batista. Who else do we got? Kyler Phillips coming back. That's nice to see. Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Rakhmonov. Bruno Silva. Yeah. This is a card that I'll watch, but it's nothing crazy. Hopefully they can get some, I don't know if that's a complete card, but hopefully they can add a few more good fights onto that card, because at the moment it's feeling a little bit flat other than the main event. Next up, Edwards versus Usman 3. I'll talk about the main event last, but let's start at the bottom, because this is a card taking place in the UK. We've got that Miller chick who's like, wanted her to lose, but she won, versus Veronica, who's Dan Hardy's wife, and she does a show. She's been out for a minute, but she's coming back now. I honestly hope she gets the upset. It'd just be funny to see. I mean, she's had a long time out and she's been training, so it'd be good to see her get up the upset. Jake Hadley coming against Malcolm Gordon, good matchup. Joanne Woods fighting again against Luana Carolina. Jai Herbert versus Ludovic Klein. Yeah, Ludovic Klein's winning that. Big fan of Ludovic Klein. He's winning that. Nathaniel Wood's coming back. I've got Nathaniel Wood. Like, Lerone Murphy's good. Like, who does he win? He's beat some decent opponents. I just really like Nathaniel Wood, and I think he's going to get the job done. He might even come in as an underdog in this fight, so I'm going to be picking that. He's just looking crisp. He's just been looking crisp. Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. Jack Shaw's coming back after his loss. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze is a banger fight. I want to pick Roman Dolidze, but my heart's telling me Marvin Vettori, just because he's more well-rounded. But Roman Dolidze is a freak off the back, or just on the ground in general. But he's going to have to tighten up his striking a fair bit to win this fight, in my opinion. Safest pick would be Marvin Vettori, but Roman Dolidze, he could get it done. Gunnar Nelson versus Daniel Rodriguez, another banger fight. I've got Gunnar. I think Daniel Rodriguez needs to add some more stuff to his game. Like, it's just straight boxing. It's like Sean Strickland, but better boxing, but maybe not as good defense, you know what I'm saying? And then we've got a fire fight, Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. I've got Rafael Fiziev, but if Justin Gaethje uses his wrestling in this fight, it's going to be a much closer fight than if it's just on the feet. You know, like, if this just stays on the feet the whole time, Rafael Fiziev's going to kick his leg, piece him up, and get the decision win, in my opinion. Like, there'll be a bit of trouble where, you know, Rafael will get hit by a shot and maybe stunned for a moment, but if it hits the ground, Justin Gaethje starts going on the ground, we don't really know fully what Justin Gaethje looks like on an offensive wrestling standpoint, so you never know. And then the main event, Leon Edwards versus Usman 3. I've got Usman. I'll make a video about this when it gets closer, but I just don't know all the hype on Leon Edwards. I don't know why. I know it's going to get me a lot of hate, but Usman was winning 4 rounds of that fight until the head kick, and the head kick wasn't lucky. Like, I hate when people say the head kick is lucky, because it's not lucky, but just if Usman's head was in a different position at that time, or like he was further out at that time, he would have won that fight. And how can you not debate that? It's like the butterfly effect. Just because he was at that place at that moment, that Leon could set that kick up. It's like, if that didn't happen, he would have won the fight. But, you know, there's the altitude thing. It's going to be interesting to see what the fight actually looks like. I've got Usman, but Leon could do it again. I just think it's Usman's fight to win. Next up, UFC on ESPN 43. What's this card looking like? We got Holly. This can't be the main event. Who is it? Who is this? Why can't this be the main event? Sean Brady versus Michelle Pereira. Or Alex Perez versus Manel Kape. I mean, I know Holly Holm is a big name, and maybe I'm just a casual because I've started watching the sport like 2 years ago, a year ago. But who is Yana Kutsamata Kara? The Foxy. What's the last time she's fought? 2021. Who is this chick? And that's the main event just because it's Holly Holm. I would have much preferred to see Sean Brady versus Michelle Pereira. But maybe this isn't final. But I mean, it's got some good fights. Nate Landwehr versus Alex Caceres is a good fight. I mean, we just saw what Alex Caceres did, and we can see what Nate Landwehr's built of in his last fight. Got Chitty back. Yeah, that main event, that ain't it. That main event ain't it. And then we've got a banger card, UFC 287, Pereira versus Adesanya 2. You know, a decent looking fight card. I mean, banger looking fight card, and they're going to add more fights to this, I believe. I mean, even below you got Steve Garcia, you got Lupita Godinez, you know, Michelle Waterson's coming back on this card. Banger fight between Kelvin Gastelum and Chris Curtis. That's going to be a great fight to watch. Jared Meerschaert versus Joseph Pyfer. Will Joseph Pyfer be good enough to get past Jared Meerschaert is the question you got to ask. Because Jared Meerschaert's been looking good, man. He's been looking good, and he's not someone you want to doubt. But Joe Pyfer, wrestling's looking crisp. Boxing's looking crisp. He might just be the one to get it done against Jared Meerschaert. But Meerschaert might pull off that gilly. You never know. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Good fight. I don't know which way to go in that fight. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. Now, I've got a bit of a bone to pick. Now, I don't know if this is the way the card's going to be. But why is this fight here? Look, I get the hype of the 18-year-old and they're trying to make him into a star. But, come on, he could be like down here. Just above Michelle Waterson. Below Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum. Just my opinion. But I know they're trying to build him into a big star and, you know, trying to boost his name out there. So putting him on this big of a pay-per-view this high up, he's gonna do that. But it's just unfair to, like, where's the main card gonna start? Is this gonna be the start of the main card? Are we gonna have to watch Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis in the prelims? Because I think that's a main card fight. Considering Kelvin Gastelum was going to be the main event of a fight night, and Chris Curtis has been the main event of a fight night. Yeah. Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. I got that one right. Big fan of Kevin Holland, as you all know, my favourite fighter, so this is a banger matchup, and I think Kevin gets it done. It's just if his hand's healed up enough by then. we got to hope, because he really does rely on that right hand, and if he's going to keep slapping Ponzinibbio with that and it breaks again, got to hope he has more to offer with his left. You know, that's just one thing that I learned in that Wonder Boy fight. But I got Kevin Holland. Hopefully goes to the ground a bit more, but Santiago's good on the ground too. So it's a good matchup, but I got Holland. Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. This is another one where I like Jorge. I'm not a Jorge hater. I was going for him against Colby. I like Jorge, but I feel like Gilbert Burns is just way better. I see a lot of people making cases for Jorge, like Jorge's really going to sting him with his jab. Jorge's really going to just defend all his takedowns. But Gilbert's got power on the hands, and I don't know if Jorge's got that same type of power in his hands as Gilbert Burns does. Yeah, his striking's better. I guess you could say striking's better, but Gilbert's got options. He's got power, he's got wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I don't know, I feel like this is Gilbert Burns' fights to win, and plus he's been more active than Masvidal, so yeah. And in the main event, Alex Pereira getting it done again, in my opinion, against Israel Adesanya for the fourth time. He's going to get a win. Close this chapter, then fight Robert Whittaker, in my opinion. But Israel Adesanya could definitely win, but Alex has got it in the bag, in my opinion. Next up, Holloway vs Allen, UFC Fight Night. Now, this is one of the newer cards that have been announced, and it's already got a good bunch of prelims, early prelims. Got Julian Robertson versus Piera Rodriguez, undefeated chick, but Julian Robertson just came off that submission win in Fury grappling against Rose, so yeah, her name's kind of up there, and we know how good her ground game is. She's just got to get it to the ground a bit better. Brady Highstand, Jocelyn Edwards is fighting, Jake Collier's back, Bill Algeo, big fan of Bill Algeo, against TJ Brown. TJ Brown coming off that big win against Eric Silva. I think I remember watching that fight. Justin Jacoby's back against Azamat Murakanov. That's a hard fight for both of them. Chris Gutierrez versus Pedro Munoz. Great fight as well. I got Chris though. Chris is looking good. And Pedro's kind of... he's hit his skill cap, in my opinion. It's like a video game. You're maxing out your skills. He's hit that skill cap. And then Edson Barbosa versus Billy Quarantillo. I want to go for Edson, but he just didn't look the same in that Bryce Mitchell fight. Even on the feet, he didn't look the same. So, man, you get dropped by Bryce Mitchell when you're a striker, and that's like what you do. And you get dropped by Bryce Mitchell. When you saw what Ilya Topuria did to Bryce Mitchell, I mean, it just shows, in my opinion. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen for the main event. It's a tricky one because I really like both people. I'm rooting for Allen, but I'm going to have to see the vibe as it gets closer who I'm going to go with, because Allen really needs to level up his gas tank here, and maybe play it not so power heavy, because it's hard to get Max Holloway out of there unless he can defy the odds, which potentially he can. We're getting down there. We got April the 22nd. UFC Fight Night, Yadong Song versus Ricky Simone, Jared Gordon versus Bobby Green. Good fight, good main event in my opinion. In Yadong Song versus Ricky Simone, putting your Ricky Simone on the big stage, and both these people are very good. I don't know who I'm going to pick there. I really rate both of them, so I mean, credit to them both for getting the main event. And this can't be the main event, I think. Surely this is just the only confirmed fight for this fight night. Nathan Levy versus Pete Rodriguez is not a main event fight. I'm sorry. And yeah, that's all of them. So there's some stacked fights here. There's some really stacked cards here. I'm glad we're caught up. I'll probably do more of these in the future, like maybe towards when we get to like April the 8th or March the 25th, or maybe even after March the 18th. I might do another one of these, and we'll just go down the card, break down the fights, just check out if there's any banger fights. Like, there could be banger fights on these that I missed that you're excited for. So yeah, great cards coming up. Get excited. April's looking good, March is looking great, and yeah, As always, guys, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Trying to get to that 50 subs. We're one away. Come on. Anyway, guys, as always, have a good one. Tell me what fights you're excited for as well. Have a good one.